The UK economy is well into the pits with no signs of getting back up anytime soon. Their recession is anticipated to last well into 2024, making it the country's longest since forever. Oh, and get this, the UK's economy is the only one that hasn't fully recovered from the pandemic-era loss of economic output. Join us as we go over all this and more to find out if the UK is on the brink of economic collapse. To think that smaller, less advanced countries have made progress, but the UK, with all its might, is only going backwards. Crazy, right? The buzz surrounding sterling hasn't been this high in 30 years. Was the mini budget truly the source of the financial market doom, or was there a bigger issue at play? Was the Bank of England's response appropriate? And for the rest of us, what does it all mean? In isolation, a slight decline in the GDP of 0.2% over 3 months would be considered unfortunate, but expected given the situation. But looking ahead, the Bank of England and others believe that this is just the beginning of a string of quarters that will signal the beginning of a long, unforgiving recession. The UK economy is still smaller today than it was 3 years ago, which is really worrying when looking back. So yes, there are a variety of challenges that are worldwide, such as COVID and the energy crunch in Europe. However, there are now serious concerns regarding why the UK has been affected more than most. The official explanation is that the UK is being battered by both the hot job market in the US and the European energy shock brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. While the UK is more physically reliant on imported gas in general, the EU is more physically reliant on supplies of Russian gas, and everyone's gas costs have skyrocketed. Even though the UK's economy is weak and has unavoidably become poorer as a result of the energy shock, the country is still being held back further by substantial labor supply issues. According to the research, the UK is really being affected by global difficulties more severely than other advanced countries because of its unique supply issues, which are increasing economic trade-offs. Then, the UK suffered more damage during the pandemic's first year than most other economies. Many economic experts had this as their standard anticipation for how the government will handle post-Brexit policy. Small businesses in particular found it more challenging to conduct business with Europe, and the UK now has less access to European labor markets on purpose. The economy suffers as a result, becoming less responsive, less resilient, less adaptable, and less productive. The economic pressures will only get worse when interest rates continue to climb and taxes and spending are more restricted. All parties, including the Bank of England, the government, and households, must make difficult trade-offs. But hey, not all of this can be attributed to global issues, can it? The current financial crisis that the UK is experiencing is the result of many elements at play. Yes, they are huge obstacles on their own, but not a catastrophe. However, the economic slowdown brought on by the UK's repeated lockdowns, combined with the harm caused to the gas and oil markets by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, raises the possibility that the unstable situation is about to deteriorate further. We have already noticed this year's significant increase in household expenses, right? This is the worst winter for most people in the UK as gas and electricity prices have increased by 54% since April, and according to the Bank of England, they could increase even further. To put it into perspective, the typical domestic bill will now exceed £2,800 per year, which used to be half, if not less. Then interest rates are expected to reach levels that haven't been seen in more than 30 years. Spending is anticipated to decrease as a result of the escalating cost of living and rampant inflation, which will make people and companies feel the crunch. Also, the Bank of England has issued a warning stating that the current recession in the United Kingdom is the country's longest since records have been kept and that it will likely last well into 2024. That's not even all. According to experts, the British economy will be hit by unemployment that probably double to 6.5%. The second half of 2022 is expected to see a 0.75% fall in the UK GDP, reflecting the strain on real earnings brought on by rising energy and tradable goods costs. Add to that high energy prices and tighter financial conditions that weigh on expenditure during 2023 and the first half of 2024, growth will continue to decline. The predictions coincide with the BOE's historic 75 basis point increase in its benchmark interest rate on Thursday, which lifted borrowing costs from the base rate of 2.25% to 3%. The central bank's eighth straight rate increase symbolizes its ongoing efforts to control the UK's raging inflation, which has reached a 40-year high. Yup, you heard that right. Now, some businesses had others to blame, like those who changed their schedules or closed on September 19th in observance of the extra bank holiday commemorating Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Could that one day be the reason that September saw a 0.6% decline in GDP? Economists don't think so. The declining GDP is a result of a broader recession in the economy, all thanks to decades-high inflation, rising interest rates, and waning consumer and corporate confidence that are the reason why household incomes are being squeezed. Naturally, the UK government is under pressure as it tries to earn back investors' trust after a run on the pound and a bond market crisis in September, which were brought on by the former Prime Minister Liz Truss's plan to cut taxes while increasing spending and borrowing. Embarrassing, to say the least. Oh boy, we wish we could tell you the worst is over. A steep decline in household expenditure as a result of rising energy prices, falling wages, frozen income tax allowances, and higher mortgage payments is a major factor in the soon-to-be economic contraction of 2023. Exports are projected to reduce as a result of the dismal prognosis for the global economy, but this loss will be outpaced by a more significant drop in imports. It's anticipated that the mini budget from September 2022 will have had a long-term effect on borrowing costs for both consumers and businesses. This is projected to result in a 3% decrease in investment in 2023, in addition to the impact of changes in corporation tax and business rates on already waning company confidence. Due to inflation, expenses will continue to be high for consumers and businesses. Investment is predicted to decline by 1.8% in 2023, while business investment is predicted to decline by 3.0% in 2023. The long-term outlook for 2024 indicates a return to recovery, but not at a rate that will make up for the 5 quarters of economic contraction. Net exports, consumer spending, and corporate investment will all see positive growth once more, but because of the decline in government spending, the rebound will be weak. As they run up against a wall of rising costs, interest rates, and taxes, very few businesses will be willing to invest. The very real concern is that because growth is still so sluggish when the economy exits recession, the UK will fall behind rivals. It is still possible to reverse this, though. The UK can position the economy significantly better with decisive action on infrastructure investment, skills, trade, and green technology. It all comes down to the government's readiness to respond and understanding of the scope of the difficulties ahead, which will be put to the test in the upcoming budget, which is expected in March 2023. You can be sure that businesses will eagerly be observing the upcoming statement regarding support for energy bills for clues that the government is aware of the magnitude of the issues they face. So, if you're wondering if there's a collapse looming right around the corner and what you can do to save yourself, we might have a few tips for you. Obviously, prepare for the worst. Jobs may be lost as a result of businesses cutting costs during a recession, and wages may not be enough to meet the cost of basic necessities due to rising inflation and energy prices. For comparison, during the UK's 2008 recession, the unemployment rate peaked at 10%. Even though nothing is certain just yet, paying off any high-interest debt may be a wise move if you can give the possibility of a recession. Also, it's advised to create an emergency cash reserve because doing so will help you against the worst outcomes. So, where do you think the UK economy is headed in the near future? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like the video, make sure to watch this next, and we'll see you around.